Welcome to a nutty adventure exploring personal growth and wellness, breaking down the stigma around mental health along the way. Let's dive in because now it's time to show me your nuts. Welcome to a nutty adventure exploring personal growth and wellness, breaking down the...
Okay, everybody, I'm just going to go live because I can't see the videos. I am having technical difficulties this morning, and I will be right back.
Welcome to a nutty adventure exploring personal growth and wellness, breaking down the stigma around mental health along the way. Let's dive in because now it's time to show me your nuts.
Well, this has been a morning so far. Welcome to Tuesday, folks. I hope your Tuesday is starting out less chaotic than mine. um yes, Scrat from Ice Age was resurrecting a dinosaur, aka trying to get my browser on my trying to get a browser to work. And so now I'm sitting here in another browser and I don't have my show notes. So we are just going to go on the fly for this show because it's quantum month and we're working on limiting beliefs. So this week, limiting beliefs and dealing with how do you work with those beliefs you have that are connected to things that happen. Let's look at this from the perspective of what would happen had I just created a limiting belief for myself based on what was happening right before the show. And I have an amazing people behind the show because they just fixed kind of fixed what was going on for me a little bit. I don't have my full show notes, but I have some of them now because Jessica is amazing. So if you don't want to form limiting beliefs in your life, have a Jessica, number one. That's my way of giving her some props and thanks for doing something on a morning that she was having her own things today. And I want, because we all have our own things, right? We all have things all the time. And in this world right now, we have lots of things going on. And we could take those things and turn them into limiting beliefs for ourselves, beliefs that may or may not be helpful for society, schisms that may or may not be helpful for society. So let me back up a bit. My name is Stacy Braiuca, and I am the Squirrel Wrangler because I guide humans to wrangle their inner squirrels of negative emotions, limiting beliefs, and self-doubt so that they can live in peace and in joy. And right now, we need that. We need to be able to live in peace and joy because there's too much going on around us that's not necessarily peaceful or joyful. And we can live in peace and in joy. And I'm going to turn the comments off just for a little bit because I'm distracting myself with them. But I want to do some deep dive into limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs are basically at their core, they are decision points. They come from decision points in our life where something happens in the worlds and we make a decision. And that decision is about the thing that happened. Now, that decision may or may not be what other people think about it. In fact, it likely isn't. It's what you make of it. It's the meaning you make of the thing at the time that it happens and the decision you make about the meaning of the thing that just happened. And so an example of a limiting belief might be a teacher calls on you in class as a child and telling you, oh, you should know the answer because you're in this smart kids program. And you don't know the answer to that particular question. And so a limiting belief could be, oh, I'm not as smart as I think I am. When in fact you are. Not only as smart as you think you are, you're very smart. And the teacher that's doing that has limiting beliefs of their own they're projecting on you. Now, flash forward when you have a limiting belief like that, flash forward in your life to situations that happen to you where you're putting your all in and everything is going well up to the point where you remember you're not as smart as you think you are. And so you then sabotage yourself because that limiting belief causes you to remember that you're not as smart as you think you are, which that limiting belief is not true. It's not valid. It's valid in the experience of the meaning you made to that one event. And even if that wasn't true, but you replay the scene with the teacher over and over and over and over again until you find out that it's a limiting belief, that you figure it out, and that you find out that there's ways to get rid of those things. Now, the story I just told you is absolutely a true story and caused me personal pain, sacrifice, undue bullshit, to be honest, for over 40 years, probably closer to 50. Because I played that story over and over every time something happened. And thus that put me into situations where I could have excelled because I was definitely smart enough. But I told myself, oh, you're not as smart as you think you are. It created imposter syndrome. It created imposter syndrome that changed trajectories in my life. One little bitty event. Now, not all limiting beliefs are the same story as what I just told you. I want you to understand the origin of those stories, the origin of how a limiting belief can be a flash moment. Because literally that was a flash moment. It was so tiny in the scope of time. It was so tiny in the scope of my own personal life that it did that to weave things into my life that it didn't need to. And it's probably not the only limiting belief I have in that up here. So we all have these little beliefs that we build in our unconscious mind because of meaning that we made to an event happening in our world. And when 8.2 billion people on the planet have events happen around them, some of them the same, some of them unique, individual to that one person, and they're all making meaning of those events in here, and then some of those meanings turn into limiting beliefs about the self, then we're all carrying around this stuff. And those limiting beliefs can turn into what looks like, feels like, and acts like mental illness or lack of mental wellness is how I'll describe that, because it's limited mental wellness is what it turns into, because there are ways to take away those limiting beliefs. There are ways to deal with them. Now, it's not just by saying, I'm good. I am good. I am better. I am smart. I am smart. You can't just say the words and get that to happen. I'm I'm going to burst that bubble right now, because affirmations and New Year's resolutions, without removing the baggage underneath them, do not work. You have to disconnect the limiting belief from that old event. You have to do the cleanup back here, and yeah, your unconscious mind doesn't live back there, but that's where I point to. You've got to clean that up first before you do the affirmations and which is the reprogramming, and you move forward with things. Not unlike the reboot I did on the computer this morning. So, who knows? Things do happen for a reason. Maybe that one happened for that reason. Jessica says, "Don't burst my bubble. Let me think it lives back there." Of the unconscious mind or the limiting belief, leaving the limiting belief alone. That's what I want to know. That's what I want to hear. So I am peeking at the comments. I'm appreciating that Show Me Your Nuts is an amazing new show that had for a couple months, and that I am incredible. And I appreciate that. Divine DNA, the title got you here of nuts. I love that. I hope that when you saw that, you created meaning in your mind about what the show was, and it created a positive, amazing belief about the show, even if you have no idea what we're doing over here. And apparently we've got a little oak village, oaks to go with the acorns. And okay, Jessica, here we go. The little village that's up there. Yes, there is a little village right here in here. It might even go through the whole body, actually. I think it probably does. I think there's villages all over, and they go visit each other. Because in my mind, the little village that's up there is filled with little squirrels, and they're all running around. And there's good squirrels and bad squirrels, and fun squirrels and silly squirrels, and think like the Snow White and the dwarfs, but like squirrels running around, and each squirrel has a piece of you. Each squirrel's a piece of your unconscious mind. Now, the ones with the limiting beliefs, I want to teach those little suckers how to get rid of their limiting beliefs in a good way. Like, let's figure out how they can use the limiting beliefs and put them somewhere else. Or use them for fuel to burn in a fire, to cook us dinner or something. I think that's the way I want to do that one. Because when you get rid of those limiting beliefs, when you use them for something else and you get rid of them, you disconnect the negative part of them. Then your unconscious mind does this huge quantum shift. It just completely shifts, because if that belief about self is no longer there and something comes up that would have previously triggered it, and think about this, instead of thinking, I am not as smart as I think I am, when that next thing comes up and you would have questioned it with that belief, instead you say, damn right I am as smart as I think I am. And then because you say that, your unconscious mind goes, then let's go. Let's create this thing. Let's create that thing. Let's do this thing. Let's do that thing. Let's have success. And it does. And then you think, oh, I am as smart as I think I am. I am as smart as I think I am. You don't need affirmations after that, because your unconscious mind affirms it for itself. So we all have beliefs and meaning that we have made over things that have happened in our lives. Some of them have happened before we had words. So let me dive into that piece just a second. Because when something happens, when you're in that stage, in that age, before you have words, before you understand the words, when things happen to us at that age, that follows us around later too. It follows us around later. Have you ever had the situation where you're doing something, something's going on, and you're like, you automatically you go to rage, or you go to being really, really sad, or it's silly and you don't know why. Whatever feels come up. You have feels come up and you're like, I have no clue why that made me upset. Because it's not something that would normally have made you upset. And you're like, I don't know, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. Sometimes the reason you don't get it, or you're like, I can't quite describe it. I know the feeling, but I can't, and you can't get the words out of your mouth. You can't get the words out of your mouth because the reason it happened, the reason you had the feels come up is because whatever it is that happened and whatever feels came up got connected in your mind before you had words to describe anything. And so even though you have words now, that doesn't mean you have the words to describe something that happened to you when you didn't have words. Does that make sense? You guys let me know in the chat if you've ever had a thing happen. Happy, sad, glad, pissed, silly, whatever it is. You've had something happen and it didn't you didn't have words for it. You're like, "Oh, and you can't get the words out." You had the feels come up and then you couldn't get the words out. I'm really surprised the comments aren't blowing up. Oh, there we go. All right, that one is funny also. Is words of what you're trying to say, yet rap music from elementary school comes back like butter. Yeah, there's some things, but during elementary school you had words, you had language. Since Sinyan Sacred Yin secret happens a lot. Yeah. And so when those things happen a lot, that's what's happening is those feels that are coming up happened, got connected into your brain before you had words to say things. And this is so I don't I'm sorry, Ollie, I am not gonna believe you because words don't come easy to you. Words are your Play-Doh. I think words are Ollie's Play-Doh. You guys, if you do not know Ollie, you have got to. Yeah, words are his Play-Doh for sure. We all have these limiting beliefs that happen. Some of them could even be attached before we had words. And so we don't have words to describe them. We don't have ways that we can express them. We just know that it's something that's bothering us. And even when we do have the words, everybody has some kind of limiting belief or belief about themselves that is probably not true because of something that happened when you were younger. Now, it doesn't have to be when you were between 0 and 7. It doesn't have to be when you're a teenager. It could have happened 3 weeks ago and you created a limiting belief about it. So, if you think about cleaning up a computer and you think about sometimes when you clean a computer or your browser, you've got to clean the cache out of your browser and you've got to sometimes clean the cookies and the passwords. Now, I'm going to suggest don't do that the day before a show unless you're going to go back and add in all your passwords so that you can have your show on time. And even if you do that, don't create a limiting belief about yourself that you have a bad show because you ran 10 minutes late and had to have the show producer get on and play music. Instead, be grateful for the show producer playing the music and be glad that you're able to get on to do the show. And don't say to yourself, and actually, I'm going to rephrase this because the universe and my unconscious mind just heard the word don't. And another secret about your unconscious mind is it doesn't know the word not. So I'm actually going to, right in front of you, live, I'm going to implant a positive belief in my head before the negative one tries to sneak its little shit in there. So give me a moment. You are a funny, on topic show host. And your show on the Breakthrough Show Network is as amazing as everybody says it is. Literally what I just did live right now in front of you. Unscripted, unplanned, and because I could. I implanted a positive belief about myself, in myself, based on what happened this morning, where I could have implanted a limiting belief very easily. Like, while it was happening, I could have implanted that. Now, the reason that I know that this is gonna be okay is I hadn't done that, and I know that, implanting that, uh, positive belief just now is going to take root, take hold, and grow into my own belief about myself and about this show. The only reason I was able to do that is because of some of the things I know about how to program this thing up here. Do you guys know this piece of tech up here we've got is much more powerful than the one we're even speaking through, that I'm coming to you through this show through? This one up here can teach itself new things. It can undo its negative programming, and it can program itself new things, whatever it wants. Whatever it wants, it can program new stuff. This one here can't even do that. It has to have a human to program itself. It can't program itself. It has to have a human tell it what to do. So humans are super powerful. Limiting beliefs are not Your limiting beliefs are not unique, in the sense that we all have limiting beliefs, and many of our limiting beliefs about ourselves are similar to each other. Society implants limiting beliefs in people about groupings. This group is worse than this group because whatever, and they're not as good, or they're this and that. And we've got a lot of that going on right now. Society, algorithms, algorithms that were meant to segment marketing are segmenting our society inappropriately, because then we each are living in two different worlds, seeing two different sets of things, very bifurcated worlds. It's not just worlds with multiple thoughts and things. The algorithms are specifically creating two very different worlds, and have been for a really long time. This is not new, folks. And that bifurcation also is creating limiting beliefs for folks that don't need to happen. And we all have limiting beliefs. But what we also all have is joy and love. And if we even without taking out, even if you don't know how to get rid of your limiting belief, filling yourself and others up with joy and love can put a salve on those limiting beliefs. All of them. The ones that are put in by ourselves, the ones that are put in by people right around us, the ones that are put in by the world. And we absolutely positively have to start there. And that's what I'm going to say about that particular piece. Um, here I've got lots of things I've been missing in the comments here. Limiting beliefs are evil and to block them to reach their infinite potential. I would say not just block them, because if you block them, you're also encapsulating them and they can continue to grow where they are. So you really the best healing of that actually is to get them disconnected from yourself so that they can't grow and reach their potential. So we've got to get rid of them as well. And if okay, hang on. Now I'm I'm not quite sure what that one means, Ollie, but I'll let it. Um, I do try and walk my talk. Okay, this one. If we all in the world had RJ capes, and if you don't know who RJ is, go back about a month in episodes and watch and find out the magic of RJ Redden and her cape and goggles. Because if you have that cape and goggles, yeah, you put those capes and goggles on and limiting beliefs. You don't need limiting beliefs if you've got a cape and goggles. So our limiting beliefs can cripple us in our life, or we can find out where they're at, surgically remove those little bastards, and keep the lessons. There's a lesson that I learned those 40 some years ago. There's lessons that I learned when that teacher said that I wasn't as smart as I thought I was. The lesson was, well, one of the lessons now as an adult, I didn't learn it then, but I learned it now, is what happened with her is she was projecting her own limiting beliefs on me. Had I somehow had known that then, had somebody around me who recognized it, had society recognized it, to be honest, because I'm not sure if anybody around could have recognized that unless they really understood things like neurolinguistic programming and limiting beliefs and that kind of thing at the time. So I don't blame anyone. Please make sure you know that. There's no blame or shame going on here at all, because that lesson, I put myself here to learn that lesson from her that day, even though it was her limiting belief. So she took her own negative stuff and was putting it out on me, and then I embedded my own limiting belief. Hers may not have been that same limiting belief, but she had some kind of stuff going on that put that on me. And actually, I thank her for it. I thank her for it because I would not have gone through the trials and things that I have in my life that gave me the knowledge and led me to where I'm at right now. So a limiting belief isn't always a negative thing. It's a negative thing in the general, like it causes shit, for to be sure, but it causes you to replay over and over the things. But the positive part is, now that I know that it was a limiting belief, now that I know how strong I was, when I went back and reprogrammed that, every time that it came up in my life, I had lessons that I brought from it, and I had strength that I brought from it. And the only thing I disconnected was that limiting belief from those events. And all of that strength and all of that positivity and all of the things that for a flash of a moment, I was thinking about myself in being smart and being capable and all those things, that all came forward. It was all still there. It was just hidden underneath the limiting belief. And so now, anytime you see confidence coming from this being right here, it's because I brought it all forward. So I think today's takeaways I want you to have from watching technical difficulties and knowing that technical difficulties don't rule our lives. It's something that happens. And so you work on what the fix is and move on. Do not let it internalize and create anything negative about yourself or about your connection with technology or anything, because it's just a tool. This thing I'm speaking to you through is just a tool. And there are more than one tool in this world. I'm speaking to you using a different browser, and if I had to, I would have used a different device. There's always another way with the tools. If you keep this being right here healthy, and just, if you don't know the how, reach out to somebody who does, and then be grateful for that, and then keep going. From technology breaking down or not working with you that day to that you could have made a limiting belief. And the only reason I bring that one up is because it happened. Those of you who know me know that technology doesn't generally upset me. Might frustrate me some, but it doesn't upset me. And it doesn't cause me a limiting belief about myself. But it could have. From that to looking back, think of something that has happened to you in the last week, last 2 weeks, last whatever, something recent that's happened where your feels came up and it was about something that it's like, I wish I could change that. I think XYZ about myself, and I don't want to think XYZ about myself. I want to I want to feel better, because don't we all want to feel better? We want better that better mental wellness. So think of that one thing. And then go back in your mind. Just close your eyes, be still, go back in your mind and think of, when did that possibly start? How did it possibly start? And think about that kind of thing without judgment towards yourself or really towards anybody who was involved. And think of when it happened. And then think of what time was like before that happened. And think of the time that was like before that happened. What did you feel like? What things did you see? What things did you hear? What things did you think of yourself about the thing before the thing happened? And close your eyes and immerse yourself in what that feels like. And then come back through time, holding on to that feeling of what things were like before the limiting thing happened. Hold on to the positive from before and bring that forward back to today. That is a very simplified and not entirely, it doesn't count as how to remove the limiting beliefs. But what it is, what I just told you was kind of the overview of how quick a limiting belief can be changed. There's a little more to it. It's more complicated, a little more complicated than that. But truly, you can go back and grab that thing. And walking through the right processes, if you're interested in learning it, NLP.com is the best place to go look. They've been doing that work they've been teaching the work for 40 years. They've been teaching how to do it. And they teach it in a way that others don't necessarily, because they also add some other techniques and other things to it that make it even stronger and more powerful. I am gonna look one thing here. Jessica's okay, she's here with it. Sometimes the limiting beliefs help you feel safe. Abso-freaking-lutely. The limiting beliefs, sometimes they're there to protect us for whatever reason. And they keep you safe until you're ready to address it. You are like, you just like Jessica with the mic drop. Safety to root. They keep that root, they keep you safe until you're ready to go back to that root and do something. And if you view them as evil, it doesn't serve you, but it's sometimes it's how we end up. I love how you say it doesn't serve you, because thinking of something as evil doesn't ever really serve us, because it creates negative energy within ourselves. And when I'm talking about NLP.com doing the thing, teaching those things different, they teach them different because you learn about some of that energy stuff, how positive and negative energy, truly true quantum stuff. Quantum physics by Einstein, the simplified version, here right today. Spooky action at a distance. This atom and this atom, once connected, if they've touched each other, they've been around each other. And think, instead of atoms, think of humans. Once those two humans have touched each other in any way, shape, or form, whether they've physically held the same space or whether they've touched each other's hearts or you name it, once those two humans have touched each other, one can go to the other end of the multiverse. And something happened to this one here, and this one way over here at the other end of the multiverse can have a reaction to it. And if you tap in to how to feel those feels of another being that you have been connected to in any way, shape, or form, it's true empathy. I can't entirely describe it, but that it's true empathy when you are one of those atoms and somebody else is another one, and however it is you're connected, you get still and ask the universe, I want to understand what that other person's doing. And this is a whole nother level, you guys. This is a whole nother level. This is beyond empathy as a word or as we really experience it. You can truly experience that connection with another human if you get still and attach into you listen to your own energy. And that's the difference that one of the differences I'm talking about, not only in what NLP.com does, but what we can do as humans, what is possible for us to do as humans. We are much more powerful as a full being than we think. But Einstein described us. He called it spooky action at a distance. Quantum physics at its core describes energy from one thing, impacting energy from another thing, even if they are no longer connected to each other. And then I'm going to go back to indigenous knowledge. Indigenous knowledge tells us, and indigenous beliefs, many indigenous cultures believe that we are all connected. We are all part of one thing. In my own nation and others that I have been lucky enough to have some teachings in, there is a prayer that we use, and it basically in almost all the languages, and it translates to all my relations being your connection, your relation with any other thing, plant, animal, bird, rock. We are all part of Mother Earth. We are all part of each other. We are all part physically and spiritually and connection, like socially, with each other. So if I harm this atom, I'm harming this atom. If somebody who I don't even know is harming another thing, they're harming me, and they're harming themselves, and they're harming those they love, because we are all connected, we are all related. Um, you know, then you bring in also the concept of, I think, what is it called? 7 degrees of whatever, and they'll say, like, 6 or 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Well, you've got 6 or 7 degrees of Squirrel Wrangler. How many people do I impact? And I have to think about that with my actions. And the times I don't think about it with my action, and I am being human, as we all are bent to do, then I need to think about it and change that energy. Because if I've harmed somebody over here, and then we're connected if I've harmed them. You're connected if you harm somebody, because that's a connection. And if you harm someone, then you need to go back energetically and cut that harm. If you look up the concept Ho'oponopono, it's a Hawaiian concept, and it's cutting that cord between the two of you. Now, it's not cutting the person off. Don't get me wrong. It's cutting the negative event that happened between you, and you gently, with love, cut that. And you say to them, and I can't remember the words exactly because I do it internally and I don't use words. It's basically, I am sorry. This is what happened. I apologize. Please forgive me. I forgive you. Please forgive me. You're forgiving them. You're asking them to forgive you. And mind you, that cord and that connection is not just in this physical world. We are still connected to people who are no longer in this physical world. That spooky action at a distance that Einstein talked about, and the all my relations that Native people describe, does not end when people transcend to a different place. And I would be remiss if I didn't say happy birthday, Grammy, today, because that post that Jessica made yesterday about her grandma was one of the most amazing posts. And for those of you who didn't read it, it also had 90 different ways that this being impacted and impacts her today, and still impacts 7 degrees of Grammy. There we go. New hashtag, everybody, 7 degrees of Grammy. Impacted me yesterday. I read all 90 of those things and took them in my heart, because I knew they came from somewhere good. And I knew I wanted to carry those around. The Ho'oponopono piece, I'm sorry. Please forgive you. Please forgive. It's this, please, I forgive you, please forgive me, because you're also extending forgiveness at the same time, just in case there's need for it. And then thank you, I love you. And yeah, there it is. And thank you. And I'm, like I said, I'm putting in the new hashtag. "7 degrees of Grammy." It is a real new hashtag. 7 degrees of Grammy. When you do something in this world, think about what your actions, what spooky action at a distance or not, because the distance means somebody you have touched before and how that impacts them later. It also goes into the 7 degrees also can relate to 7 generations. And another Native teaching is that anything I do today impacts 7 generations going forward. And in the world, and anything that is happening right now has been because of actions 7 generations ago. And so we have 7 generations back and forth. So think about what you're doing today. Think about what limiting beliefs you have from things that have happened in your past. I am going to go back to something that Jessica said a minute ago. If you have trouble if you're struggling with those limiting beliefs, she said, or hire Stacy. And yes, you can, because that's what I do. I help people wrangle those limiting beliefs so that they can live in peace and joy. I somewhere here have a link to a calendar where you can look at that. Actually, first I'm going to give you guys, there's a free course about limiting beliefs, about negative emotions, about self-care. Jump in, grab my free course and learn more about limiting beliefs, learn more about what you need to do for your self-care, learn more about yourself so that you can take care of yourself. And then if you're so inclined and would like to, you can find out next steps with me, or you can book a consultation, a free consultation, stacybraiuca.com/consult. And I would love to help guide you, because one of the reasons I'm on this planet, and one of the reasons especially one of the reasons that I have lived through the things I have lived through is so I can help guide other people through the things they're dealing with. It's why I'm here. I know that. And I couldn't have done it without living through the things I've lived through, the limiting beliefs I've had, the things I've needed to deal with, change, and do, so that I had to learn how to do that so that I could help others. And it was because that's what I need to do on this planet, is help guide people to be able to live in peace and joy for themselves. And I don't take that lightly. It's not just oh, this is what my job is. Oh, this is how I make money. No, this is a divinely led responsibility. I'm responsible to do that job on this planet in this life. So I think we kind of got a little heavy today. So, the show me your nuts is we got the heavies, but not in a bad way, I don't think. I appreciate all of you. I appreciate the people in the comments. I so love that there are 6 people watching right now. And we've been going for a good hour, or not quite an hour because of, the stuff. But I love that there are 6 people out there watching, and I appreciate each and every one of you, because by watching this, you have just touched my life, and now we are connected. Yeah, it was getting on the heavy side. It's too bad we didn't have a call from Aunt Ruth today. That would have been epic. I need to probably call her. For those of you who don't know who Aunt Ruth is, go back a couple shows and look up Aunt Ruth. Now I've got extra stuff on the screen. Where do I go here? All right. Those of you who don't know who Aunt Ruth is, go back to the very first show, or the first couple of shows, and you can meet Aunt Ruth. She is a hoot and a half, and she's got questions. See, I can look around her. And yeah, reach out to Aunt Ruth, because she's a trip. She will she'll answer your question, and who knows, she might even hand you a cup of tea with whiskey in it, or a you know, some kind of cookie or banana bread or something that she's baked. But be careful; it might have cigarette ash in it. It won't kill you, but just be careful. She's a wild woman. Listen this week to yourself. Watch out for those things that come at you that you might create a limiting belief out of, and stop the thing in its tracks and create a positive belief out of it. It will serve you well. And if you have any of the feels come up and the negative ones come up, reach out, because that's what I'm here for. So, you guys, next week we're going to continue Quantum Month. I believe next week we're getting into the library of some of the good books. I'm going to do some reviews of some of the best quantum neuro books that I have delved into, that has brought me some of the information that I've kind of condensed down and tried to bring you guys in the show this month. Quantum this month, meaning we are all connected. Because at the quantum physics level, once one atom is connected to another atom, they impact each other. Once you are connected to another human being, you impact each other the rest of your life. Do it in a good way. Be kind to each other. Have grace with yourself. And reach out and find joy in everything you're doing, so that you can carry that joy forward, and that you can be in joy in your life. Yes, this one got heavy. Thank you for watching Show Me Your Nuts, and I will see you next Tuesday for more nutty adventures.
Thank you for joining us on this nutty adventure. Remember, personal growth and wellness are journeys best taken together. Keep exploring, keep growing, and don't forget to show me your nuts next time.